Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And guess what? On 22222, we're going to do it again. Tonight is going to be really interesting. So put your seatbelts on. Before Augie tells you about our guest, I want to invite you to connect with us. You can connect with us at broadcastteamalpha.com. You can connect with us on Sundays at The Mastermind Connection. We have an hour gathering where we come together and create like-minded images for the benefit of what we choose, right, to intend before we get started. We create an intention, for peace and for weather patterns to be uneventful and for our personal well-being, for people's healings. And we create this intention, and then together during a beautiful journey, right, as we travel in our mind to the quantum realm, we send our love and we send our feelings to that image, to that intention, and then it takes place. It manifests in the physical. And if you don't believe us, you can come hang out with us and see what's happened. So the way to come see us there on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern is to send an email to the Mastermind Connection, all one word, at gmail.com. Augie will send you the link and you can see what goes on and you can be a part of it. So Augie, tell us about our fascinating guest.
Oh, yes. We're going to have so much fun tonight. Because we have Reza Dadmehr with us, and he had some experiences. Boy, oh boy, he's a highly educated man, and he had some phenomenal experiences, both within governmental structures and on the outside. And he speaks several languages, and he's a frequent lecturer at conferences, sought after guest on radio shows, and a great researcher of what is outside of the box. I'm not so sure he even knows where the box is anymore. So for the next hour or so, we are going to have the beneficiary of what he has researched and his experiences. Once we start poking at the stuff outside the box, things turns very interesting very quickly, because conspiracy theories, they go away and become conspiracy facts. Because a lot of those things that we have been made fun of, they were the real thing. And we're going to talk about some of that tonight. And also, actually, before the show here, a few days ago, this interview came about fairly quickly, because a few days ago, he sent me something on Facebook. There was a show that he sent me about CIA and time travel. And, I've been very interested in that for a long time. So it caught my eye and I watched that and I said, oh, we got to talk to Eric again. So here we are. And beyond that, just welcome to the show, Eric.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you. That was an amazing introduction. I think that was my best introduction I've ever heard. It's very, I'm very honored. And it was very magical how we, everything we do is going with the flow and magical, because I know you guys are booked many months out. And I always visualize an open parking space for me, where I need to be. And when I get there, it just opens up. And what's funny is, and so I asked, I said, hey, let's do a show together, and he said, oh, we're booked, out many months. And I think August, we got a spot for you, and then he lets me know like a couple of minutes later, oh my God, but you know what? There was just a cancellation can you do it on 2/22? I said, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to do on 2/22.
That's so cool.
So
on the parking spot.
It is. That's my parking spot. And I'm a Scorpio this is my year, the tiger. I'm a water tiger, and I'll be 60 this year. And and so I'm back in my element. There's 5 elements, and 12 times 5 is 60. So when I was born year of the tiger in 62, now it's water tiger again. And so I'm back in my element, and I'm ready to kick butt. I've been laying low and kind of flying under the radar, even though I do all these conferences, but I'm always happy to share the stage or let people take, the spotlight, and my friends and stuff, and kind of hang in the back and not be so, out there, even though I am out there, way out there. But I'm going to start doing my own shows and start, getting out there more, and so I'm excited. And being the Scorpio detective I am, I've been waiting for a long time. I'm the guy, I'm the whistleblower. When I was working in the government, I gave Jesse Ventura the FEMA camp information about the coffin liners. Yeah. And I was uncovering a lot of stuff working for Small Business Administration and FEMA and the emergency management. And I was kept asking, what are these coffin liners for? What are these guillotines for? Why do we have all these empty prisons? What's a civilian inmate handbook? Now, Jesse Ventura only shared about the coffin liners because he really didn't see the guillotines or the civilian inmate handbooks, but I had to count everything. And there were so many coffin liners, I said I couldn't count them. I had to just give a guesstimate, and because there were miles of, and I kept saying, how do you expect all these people to die? What do you expect them to die from? And so I don't want to say how I think, but I knew it wasn't a nuclear weapon, but probably a.
So I didn't know about the guillotines. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, there were guillotines. Why are there guillotines at the FEMA camps? They had all these FEMA camps that were by train stations, and it reminded me of the Nazi camps, with the train stations next to them, because they took the trains. And what's interesting is these trains that are maglev and underground. Also, they connect all the Walmarts and Targets, and because if you think about it, these big superstores have a lot of junk you can get and send to a place, so and then you saw all these Walmart closures, and how in the heck are they staying active? And then you had these prisons. Like if you look up high in the ceiling, you're like, how in the hell do people go up there in those offices? Because there was no stairs or doors leading up to it, but there were actual prisons so I kept wondering, hey, what's going on here?
The prisons were in the Walmart.
Yeah, at the top. Look at the top ceiling, and you'll see like offices with no stairs or doors, or I have an excellent eye for this because I have a degree in fine art from UCLA, and I studied architecture. And my grandpa in Iran was head of education and an architect and a Supreme Court judge, and he would take me and show me the schools and hospitals that he built, and so I have a good eye for looking at these things and following how they do things and how they're built and what's going on. Because also in the mosques, there's a 4th level that you can't get to. That's what it reminded me of, like when you look in the dome, there's a big stairwell, not a stairwell, but like a railing all around. And you're like, how in the hell do you get up there? There's no.
Eric, can we go back a little bit, because there's a question in the chat. Margaret was asking where you get your information from, and you didn't get your information from anybody. You got it firsthand.
Firsthand.
Yeah. Could you explain that? Yeah.
Yes. See, I'm getting my information firsthand because I worked there. I saw it. I saw everything. And also I'm an excellent researcher, besides researching everything, I actually have seen everything with my own eyes. So it's firsthand information. I'm the guy who people will, get information from. So, I saw it with my own eyes, everything. So, I got the information from the source. And,
one thing that just came up here, Nordy mentioned the guillotines, and I've actually seen a photo of that.
Yeah.
And what's in storage?
There's been I'm friends with like SEAL team leaders that go and do these rescues of the children in these bunkers. and I see them healing at a friend's house at these med bed system. And they're healing from the children that they couldn't save, that they saw on meat hooks. And I know firsthand, and, you can't fake that, stuff. And I can tell when people are lying, and I look at their face and eyes, because I grew up in Iran where they have eye management and body language, and you can tell when people are lying, their face goes, down their face, and, and you put me on a lie detector test or my energy, you can tell there's no lies here. And, I'm speaking from my heart, and these people, are telling me the truth. And then I have friends that are, judges in these tribunals, these military tribunals, where they're actually a lot of people that we think are alive have been executed, and everything's really been already done. Okay. Yeah. It's just dripping out information to, people when they realize what the hell's happened, they're going to be pissed off, and they're going to have to come to terms to, what's really happened. And they're going to want to go, lash out at these people, but you can't, because they've already been taken care of, and what we're seeing is just a big show. It's actors and it's
Eric,
clones. And, yes.
Eric, the show, right, and the actors and the cover-up and the lies is so huge that it is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, and the reason why they lied at NASA and said they lost all the moon tapes and whatever is because we're all advanced, having watched special effects, we all have advanced eyes now. And when you look at those films, it's obvious it's like tin foil and, whatever. Yeah. So they said they lost everything, because I met Stanley Kubrick, and he told me personally that he produced those landings. And I laughed, and I said, I already knew that. I asked him, I said, why didn't you throw some dirt on at least mess it up a little? Why you left it too neat? I told him, and it was too obvious. So, and that was back in the 80s. So imagine we're all like advanced, watchers of special effects now. And that's why they pretend, how can you lose all the moon tapes and stuff? I laughed, and I said, well, I have them. I have some, because once it's on the internet, it's always out there, and I gave them links to. So when you look at these actors, the point I was trying to make is, when you look at these actors, you can see the mask rolling up in their neck, and you can look at the ears, and there's no holes, and you can see the lines, and you can see the ears holes are filled in, and there's many things. And my friend James Woods is playing Biden, and Jim Carrey, another guy, is playing Biden. And then there's like 4 other actors playing him. These guys aren't around, they're worm food, And it's just like these Star Trek, movies, when they had the Nazis and they had this zombie in back, and they were making a production. It was disclosure back then, telling us how they do it. And watching many movies, sci-fi movies, they do the same thing, where it's really easy with the technology we have to put another me in front of the camera and get me to say anything. And it's not me. It's not me, and so, we have to really be watch out and see what's really. We have to be more critical and use critical thinking and ask questions.
You mentioned a word here, disclosure.
Yes.
I want to pick your brain for 2 minutes on that one, because
Excellent.
Something is coming, and it's going to be some form of disclosure. But what would the world be afterwards? How will people live afterwards, especially the fanatic religious people? What will happen to society after that? What do you think?
Well, after the initial shock factor, people are going to have to overcome this shock of, the 4 stages of enlightenment are, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they get mad at you, and then they become enlightened, and that's why I'm Eric the Healer. As I speak, I'm famous as Eric the Healer, public speaker, and that's why I'm a comedian and a clown. And my friends that I do conferences with, they always stay at my house. And so instead of Airbnb, I call it Eric B&B, which is, and the B&B is not bed and breakfast, but it's Beavis and Butthead, you know, because I'm a clown and I'm a kind of a smart ass. I was a class clown. And, you know, when people say I'm a smart ass, I tell them, you know, it's better than being a dumbass, you know, and, and, you know, you have to joke about this and laugh, and you can't get too stressed out about it, you know. And at this time, I like to say, if you take your B complex, a lot of things won't piss you off. And lavender is good for stress. And there's Rubio's tea that's good for stress. And then there's Bach's Rescue Remedy, which is good for stress. And then deep breathing, relaxation, and meditation, you know, it's all good for stress. And you know, and you can exercise and sexercise, and you know, it's a good release for, you know, being less stressful. So getting massaged and just paying attention to your, you know, stress. You have to check your neck and the back and see, you know, if you have, you know, lactic acid, and if you're stressed or not, and really check yourself. And it's been my, you know, as being Eric the healer, you know, I'm the guy who needs a massage, you know, and I need another healer to heal me, you know. And so the healers get the least healing, you know, and because we're always giving healing. And so I like to trade with the masseuses at the conferences, because, you know, I know I'll get a good massage in return. And I want to hear that was the best massage I ever got, you know. Right. And so I learned as a kid, kids are drafted in Iran to massage the older people. See, in America, we put the old people in old folks' homes and forget about them, but they're national treasures in Japan and Iran and Asia. And, you know, because they want to tell the kids what they learned. And I was very lucky growing up, having the best grandfathers teaching me. You know, my grandfather in Iran was head of education. And my dad didn't get along with him, but he loved me, and he took me out to, you know, many places, and he gave me adult jobs as a kid. And I was hiring and firing people at like, you know, 6 years old, 7 years old, for the house. And I was learning how to cook and clean and sew. And I would have to wake up and shine my grandpa's shoes and my dad's shoes. And, you know, so I learned a lot and how to fix things. And I followed the workers that came to the house and saw how they did everything.
So can I ask you a question?
Of course.
How did you get from that to the place where you saw the children on hooks?
Okay,
how does that happen?
I didn't see the children on hooks. The people that I met.
That's what you said. Okay.
Well, no, I said that I met the SEAL team leaders at these healing centers, like a med bed system, where they went to go heal from what they saw. And I hugged them and thanked them for what they're doing. And I heard their stories. And you know, and there's no faking that when you look at a person
traumatized,
you know, you can't fake that, and it's real, and they're doing that stuff. So, you know, no, I didn't. Thank God, I didn't see children on hooks, but we'd
be healing you for sure. Yeah,
exactly. But it's going on now. You see all these earthquakes, and they're all 10 kilometers deep. And, you know, what they're doing is they're hitting with direct energy weapons, these bunkers and deep underground military bases, and they're all hooked up in a line in the tunnels. And that's what we have in Ukraine. It's a hub of child trafficking, major, you know, drugs and arms and kid trafficking. You know, that's why they're doing what they want, you know, do. And besides Ukraine being, you know, the richest in minerals in the area, and, you know, but Biden has a lot of land there, or had a lot of land there. And really they're rejoining Russia, and Russia already owns, you know, Ukraine. There's no reason why Russia is going to start a war with a country that is going to join them when it's already theirs. Why are they going to?
So
you know,
is that real? Is that real?
Yeah,
or is that show?
It's real fake. Okay. It's real fake.
That's what
it's not really, you know, but they are going to start, they are going to pretend the war is starting. You know, there is going to be a false flag pretend war starting. And while this is going on, they're going to get the rest of the minions and arrest the rest of the minions. And while the world is under martial law, I think that's when they're going to wake people up and show them this 8-hour video 3 times a day, you know, talking about all the things I've been talking about, you know, about the child trafficking, the adrenochrome, and the, you know, the fake, you know, the fake presidency. And, you know, because really, I think, you know, because we were a corporation that went bankrupt, and you know, things aren't what they seem, you know, to be. And a good place to start is watching Janet Osbard's Follow the Cabal. You know, she made those 10 videos or 12 videos, and then she did a sequel of 20 videos, the sequel to Follow the Cabal. And if you watch those, it's pretty much everything. I wish I could have made something as wonderful as that. She really made an excellent documentary, and those are really important to watch. It's a good primer.
We know all the we've seen so much and heard so much. We know these things are happening, and it's part of the awakening process. How far into the awakening process do you think we are? With other words, how much do we have left before the whole shittery blows up on them?
Well, it's happening now. People are waking up because the Durham investigation is already done, and they're just releasing, they're just dripping information out. You have the Sussman and the, you know, Perk and Cooey, and, you know, it's already proven that, you know, Hillary and Obama and Biden, you know, left a paper trail of hiring, you know, CIA to spy on the president, which is treason, and you can't get around it. I mean, there's no, you know, people. I was walking the dogs today, still seeing, you know, Black Lives Matter signs. You know, of course, all lives matter. Okay, but see, BLM is really Bureau of Land Management, which is also George Soros. And when you give money to these places, it goes directly to the Democratic, you know, party, the Democrat Party. Okay, and when you look at their symbol, you know, I study symbols and fine arts. You know, it's Baphomet. It's the devil. You know, it's a star that is not with the point going up. It's like the 2 points, you know, going up with the horns of Baphomet. And, you know, it's very diabolical, nefarious, you know, what they're doing, and blood drinking. And, you know, there's a compilation of videos of Biden and these little girls. And it's just, I don't know how anybody, you know,
you can't
asking a girl. He's asking a girl if she's 19, and she looks like she can't even 10. Be a teenager. Yeah, 10. You know, I was like, yeah, right. You know, and you know, and I grew up. You know, my uncle was the Shah's right-hand man. He was Abdul Reza Ansari. That was last year he died. And I went to embassy parties, and I met a lot of ambassadors, and I met Rockefellers and Rothschild family, and I sat on their laps, and they pinched my ass. Okay. And so I know firsthand that, you know, there's something wrong, you know, and I was lucky. I was very lucky that, you know, I got around. You know, there were several attempts to kidnap my sister and I, but I was always smart, and I knew, you know, when they're trying to trick you and give you toys and get you to go somewhere, you know. My sister and I and my mom were the only blonde people in Iran, I think, in the 60s. And, you know, we kind of stood out, and people had to pinch my sister to see if she was real because she looked like a doll, you know, and so, you know, it's crazy times we live in. And, you know, to answer your question, we're at the point of no return, where people are going to get this information, you know, pour it down their throat, because that's what it's going to take. Martial law and all the media to go blackout so they can get unglued from their TV and unhypnotized, and then get the information through the emergency broadcasting system through their phone. And that's what it's going to take to wake a lot of people up, because they have cognitive dissonance, and they just can't let go. There's no telling. I cannot force anybody to think what I want them to think. They're going to think what they want. And I can't pour it in them, you know? So all we can do is just set an example and know our truth, and not waste our time trying to convince somebody, and, you know, walk away. We have to walk away and not argue, and just know that, you know, these people will realize it sooner or later, because I've been vindicated many times by my friends, you know, because I've been talking crazy all my life. And when people started talking crazily like me, and my friends saying, wow, Eric, all the things you said and studied have all come together, and we knew about this because of you telling us, my friends that didn't believe in UFOs, they didn't believe in psychic ability or life after death. Too many times I would call when they were talking about me, or too many times I would say what they were thinking. And too many times, there was something that wasn't a star and it wasn't a satellite, and it was traveling too fast and turning right angles in the air. And so it's all related. Everything that I've been talking about, 5G and Mandela effect, and all these things have come together and are related to each other because we're on a positive timeline. And
so you mentioned psychic abilities, and before the show you mentioned that you had an experience with Ingo Swann, and actually what the CIA was doing with both time travel and remote viewing and also psychic abilities. Talk a little bit about that, because that really got into the weeds and interesting places with you. So speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was in the gifted program. They called it mentally gifted minded, rapid learners. And it was a pioneer program at Pope Avenue School in Sacramento. And I had the two award-winning teachers, Shirley Patch and Janice Talbot. And they took us on a field trip to Stanford Research, where they tested us for psychic ability. And later, when Facebook came out and I reconnected with my classmates from that gifted program, they don't remember going on a field trip there. And it was like, wow, and they did give us fluoride. They said it was for our teeth, but they wanted to calcify our pituitary pineal gland. And they also took a cotton swab of our mouth. And I was saying, oh, you're getting our DNA. And they were shocked. I knew in the 70s what they were doing. But I realized that they were getting our DNA to make clones. And because they didn't want us. And because why are they giving us fluoride and dumbing us down? So they took our cells to make clones. And they tested us for psychic ability. They tried to trick me. They said, pick a geometric figure. And I said, and they had one hidden, and they were behind this thick plexiglass, like over a foot thick. And they said, what is behind there? And I said, it's a star. And they said, well, a star isn't one of these choices. I said, I know, but that's what it is. And I was right. It was a star. And so they, I scored high on their tests. And so in college, actually, we were taking college classes back in that 5th and 6th grade, also in conjunction with our classes. So I was going to college earlier. And actually, even when I was like 6 or 7, I was helping my mom teach English as a foreign language at like 6 and 7 years old in Iran. My mom didn't learn Farsi fast, and I learned it quickly. And I was translating Farsi and helping her teach English as a foreign language at a university. So, I'd been in the university a lot already. But when I finally got to the university again, I graduated 1 year early from high school because I had a lot of extra units. And I went to Europe a couple of times. And when I came back, I went to college. And when I was in this art history class, Ingo Swann came with this other Jewish guy. And he was a pretty smart guy. And he had me sign my name. And the way I signed my E, he said, oh, Saturn, that's Saturn. See the way you make your E? Those are the rings of Saturn. And he looked at Ingo and nodded, yeah, this is the guy, And I didn't know what that meant at the time. Or the importance of Saturn back then. And then he told me that Ingo wanted to go on with a drive with me in a golf cart, and he was going to be wearing a blindfold driving. And he wanted me to figure out how he was doing it. The Jewish guy told me, he said, tell me how he does it. I don't know how he does it. He told me that once he put this big cement block in the pathway and he stopped before it. He couldn't trick him, So I looked, and it was a thick blindfold, and there was no way he could see out of there. And so I thought maybe he was using my eyes, so I closed my eyes too. And that didn't work. I thought maybe it did because
that was very smart. Wow.
Yeah. I just thought, I was like, okay, how is he doing it? I was thinking, what are the ways, maybe he's using my eyes, But I think he's just using his third eye, that he could see. Because, before you go to sleep tonight, do this trick, okay? Always, before I go to sleep, I can see everything with my eyes closed. I can see everything. I'm looking with my third eye. That's when we're lucid, state, about to go into our dream state. And so just before you go to sleep, try to remember to do this. Just as you close your eyes, you won't see everything in color, but you see it in black and white, and you see everything. And my ex-wife hated it when I always left the lights off and I'd walk around in the dark. And, I was in the Academy Bruce Lee started with Dan and Asano. So we had this exercise where we were blindfolded and we were blindfolded. And we became really good at it, just finding the center and finding the people, and you can really do it. It really works. And we would do it, but fight blindfolded. So practice walking around with your lights off and look around before you fall asleep. Just look without your eyes. And that's how he was doing it. But he loved me. Ingo Swann loved me, man. He felt my energy. He was like getting high off me, my energy. And because I know I have a lot of energy, and I don't drink coffee, and I don't need, when I tried Coke, I'm already coked, I don't need Coke, and so, I don't do stimulants, and I don't need them. And my friends hate it because they need to wake up, and they're like, and so
I'm relating to what you're saying here, because driving with blindfolds, there's a magician, and I'll think of his name in a second. He does that. He drives through the city blindfolded, stops at red lights and turn and just drive. And this is real, because first of all, we can see him doing it. For second, go to the YouTube and put in reading blindfolded, and you'll find these girls, 10-year-old girls in India. They put actually double blindfolds on them, and they read books. So what you're talking about, that's the real thing. It does happen.
It does. And that's why I tell people before their test to put their book under their pillow at night before they go to sleep. I tell them that. Put your book under your pillow. And you absorb. I have a lot of books that I haven't really opened, and I've somehow absorbed the information and can open them and go to the spot. It's kind of a fortune telling where you open a book and it goes right to where you want, or it describes exactly what you're thinking. Just open a book and put your finger down, and it will describe exactly. It'll talk to you and relate to what you're saying, and that's kind of a fortune telling in Iran, doing the, they do it with Hafez book, the Sufi Hafez, and Rumi and stuff. And also it's kind of an I Ching. There's many ways to do the I Ching besides the coin toss. I was introduced to I Ching when I was 5 years old with the yarrow sticks, where you shake a can and a stick comes out and you read the number on the stick. But there's also, you can open the book to a page and besides doing the coin toss. So really the signs are all around us. We don't need a tarot deck. We don't need a magic trick thing. Everything's around us. We just have to shut our voice off and be aware of our surroundings, because we have everything we need and it's all around us and it's talking to us. We just have to be open to reading these signs. The signposts are all around us. Whenever I need help, I was really pissed off at my GPS coming back from these long conferences. I live in Sacramento and I'd have to drive to Vegas, and I was trying to get to a Mexican restaurant, and it pissed me off because the GPS would throw it this and back. And I said, what the hell am I doing? I'm psychic. I'm Eric the Healer. And I turned it off and I said, okay, guide me. And my voice came on, and I saw a street, and I went right to it. And when I got to the restaurant, I looked at the girl and I said, God guided me to you here. And it turned out her name was Erica, and I'm Eric, what a message, and she had a picture of the Virgin Mary behind her. And, I could tell they were a religious family, but there were several other, things that, gave me signposts that I was where I was supposed to be. And it was the perfect burrito at the perfect time. And it was exactly what I wanted. So we have to trust in our higher selves and learn to go with the flow, because you can't fight that natural flow. We
got to rely on it. We know it is real, and just practice and do it all the time, we get better at it. One more thing
Yes.
though, with that show that you sent me, that had something to do with time travel. What do you know
Oh,
about the
yeah.
CIA and time travel?
Well, think about it this way. It's related to the UFOs too, okay? Because their spaceships are time machines. And where are they really coming from? They're coming from another dimension. They're dimensional, okay? Last year I did several conferences in Shasta, and I could hear the Bigfoot talking. And I was like, why can't I see you? I can hear you. Why can't I see you? And they told me that I smoked too much pot. And if I stopped, I could see them next time, you know? And I said, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm done smoking. I stopped smoking pot for a long time now. And I look forward to going back for another conference, for Robert Potter's conference, I guess, in July. It's thepromiserevealed.net. And you know, they stay at my house. Whoever I work with, they always stay at my house. And so I like to work with them and be their MC also, and host and do things. And that's how I got into all this movement back in the 80s, you know, meeting all these interesting people and working for them and getting in free and learning, you know, and hanging around and meeting everybody. So, you know, this time travel business, as a kid, I knew that I was traveling. My grandfather took me to hear these Sikhs, these cities, okay? He told me not to tell my father that he was taking me to this place, but we went up in the mountains and I saw these 3 dark-skinned guys sitting in a triangle, and their eyes looked like they had little blue LED lights in them. They were shining. And he said, Eric, my grandpa said, Eric, you're a smart guy. I call him Papa. He said, Eric, you know, he spoke to me in Farsi. He didn't speak English. And he said, you know, Eric, you're a smart guy. Tell me how these guys levitate. They're going to fly. And tell me how they do it. You know, I want you to figure it out and tell me. So I went and I sat in their circle. I sat cross-legged. And then they all looked at me and they nodded and they smiled. And like they recognized me and nodded to each other. And they got really happy. And then they got really happy. And then they started to levitate. And I looked around, there were no buildings, no trees, no wires to hold them. And they got really happy. And just when I thought they were about to burst out laughing, they started to levitate. And I figured out that's how they did it, you know, by getting really happy, you know, and I thought it was funny when I watched Peter Pan, they had the happy dust and then they started to fly. And I said, oh yeah, that's right, you know. So then later getting into the UFOs and meeting people, and then studying art history and learning about going to all these megalithic sites where they had Stargate portals, and see that's what these wormholes and portals are. These Stargates, they're traveling to other dimensions. And see, we're right now living in a lower dimensional reality where there is time, a past, present, and future in this lower density. But in the higher dimensions, there's no time out in space. It's an eternal now. And it's all woven together, the fabric of space. So, and you know, you have the space equals rate times time, you know, well, it changes when you leave this dimension and go into higher frequency vibrations. It's an eternal now. So really, just like a hologram, our DNA is holographic and we're holographic. And this matrix is holographic that we live in. It's a program. And all the information in a holographic picture is contained in each pixel. You can take one of those dots and it has all the information of the whole photograph in just one dot. And so it's the same with our DNA. It's the same with our DNA. That's the point I want to make. And so we're time travelers. We're all time travelers.
Can I ask a question?
Of course. Yes.
You said that we're living in a holographic program.
Yes.
Can you define what the program is? Is it like a projection? And if it is, who's running the projector?
Excellent question. Who's running the projector? See, and that's where we get into, the Big Bang and the Darwinian concept of evolution and maybe God. See, and see, I believe there's a creator. I don't believe in Darwinism, and we didn't come from a monkey. And even though they say that our DNA was tinkered with, because it has been proven that our second and third chromosomes are fused with the rhesus monkey gene, okay? But they tinkered with our DNA. They didn't create our DNA. We're created, when you look at our DNA, which relates to the I Ching, by the way they draw the lines. When you look at the DNA, it actually spells Yahweh, okay? God. And we were created by God. There is a God. And the spiritual aliens that I think that I've met, believe in God. And see, there's a relationship with technology and spirituality. There are some aliens that are too spiritual, and there are some aliens that are too technical, and they trade religious teachings for technology because they have to find that balance. But we have to find that balance of religion and technology and realize that there is a creator, that there is a God. I don't care. See, to me, religion screws it all up because it has nothing to do with spirituality. To me, religion is dogma, control, because I had to figure this out early with my dad being Iranian and my mom being Norwegian and, Lutheran, and my dad being Zoroastrian or Shiite, Sufi, whatever. I had to figure it out early. And I knew that they were talking about the same God because there's only one God, and God sees everything. And God is always watching you. And I've had many things happen to me in life where they're every time I ask for something, I get it from God. I try not to ask for too much, but whenever I ask for something, it's magically there. Okay. And I'm protected and I'm taken care of. There's no doubt in my mind. I've come close to death so many times, and I've felt the angels protecting me and telling me, I'm not going to get hurt, and everything goes in slow motion, and I'm able to respond appropriately. I can catch a spinning knife, in the air. And we were practicing catching arrows when I was a kid. And, I was doing these things as a child, and nobody could touch me when I was fighting kickboxing. I studied at the best academies, and I had,
but then I gotta ask you.
Yes, go ahead.
Back to the question. Who is at the projector?
Yes, exactly. That's an excellent question. Who is at that projector? See, and who can't be at that projector? Okay, who really is at that projector? I believe that at the highest level, it's us, one with source, God. If God created everything and is everywhere, at our highest level of consciousness, we're all one with the source. And we have all the information in our DNA. It's all there in front of us. Yeah. It depends what level of understanding you want to answer that. What level of consciousness. You're asking a multi-dimensional question that can't have just one answer. It has to be an answer. And see, the simplest words in the dictionary have the most complex definitions, and the most complex words have one simple short definition. So it's simple for me to say that it's God and source, but it's also very complex, So, even the aliens don't understand God.
Let's put it this way then. There is a projector, and then there is a program that is being run through the projector. So if we are probably the projector from our mind creating around us, but there is a program that is loaded on to be projected.
Yes.
Who creates the program?
Well, let me tell you this.
Or is it minute by minute?
let me give you a hint. Let me give you a clue. Okay. Or let me give you a given. We create the timelines.
Exactly.
How about that? See, we create the timelines. That's why it's important to think good thoughts. Look at the oldest religions. Okay, the oldest religion is the Zoroastrian that we know. And they had 3 simple beliefs: good thinking, good talking, and good behavior. And see, the Buddhists simplified it and just said, be good, okay? But when you think positively, you attract positive influences. When you think negatively and curse, you attract negative influences. And so think positively. Don't be upset. Laugh it off. When I did martial arts, fighting with swords, and I was having a good time and laughing, and then I got cut, my cuts always healed quickly and they didn't bleed much. But if I got angry and pissed off and I felt they did that on purpose, and that pain wouldn't go away and I would get scarred, and it's all about our level of consciousness and our level of understanding. It's all about our attitude. It's really about our attitude. When we have the correct attitude, we change the whole situation. And that's really the Eastern philosophy of I Ching. When you have the correct attitude, you change, even though you think, oh, everything's always bad happening to me. And, I'm the unluckiest guy in this. Well, maybe these things had to happen for you to get where you're going. Change the way you look at it and say, this had to happen for me to change my direction, to get on the positive timeline, for me to meet the most beautiful woman, for me to find this $100 bill, for me to go the correct way and find this burrito shop or whatever. If I lose my watch, it's like, I'm happy because now I'm getting a new, better one. Or you have to look at it differently. And
that was a great explanation. There's one thing I would like to just change subjects a little bit, because I don't want time to run out, and go back to what you were talking about before we got started.
Thank you.
And you were talking about who our vice president really is, and what you knew about his father. So can you talk about that? So
I think our vice president is John F. Kennedy Jr. Okay. I think he was inaugurated last year, July 4th at Mount Rushmore. Okay. You can mark my words. If you look at all my videos, I'm right on the money. Okay. Everything I've talked about 2-3 years ahead of time. Okay. I met John F. Kennedy Jr. several times in the 80s, and I actually worked with him as John Titor, but I didn't realize it was him, because when he time travels, he uses that name, John Titor. And I really think the Swan O'Savin is him,
Exactly. He had the mask on in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did. He does. And when I look at him and his mannerisms and how tall he is and how kind of handsome he is and the way he is and his nose and, I really think it's him. And I think that he's working with Trump. I think Trump is the real president because of the way, you read the executive orders and you see, and they had to let this fraud go on for a year for the law of war manual of the Geneva Convention. Because if you look at Chapter 11, Section 3, they had to wait 1 year for them to pretend to do, so the military can step in at any time now. Okay. And that happened last month, exactly 1 month ago. It happened. So now the military can step in and do what they need. But I really believe that, we had a false, these guys were at Ron Howard's show, what is it? In Culver City, Castle Rock. They were at his movie studio in Castle Rock at Culver City on, I think it's off Sepulveda. There's no parking lot behind the Oval Office, okay? and the curtains are never wrinkled. Pardon me?
They have admitted that there is another White House. They have admitted that.
It's a set,
of course.
Right? It's a set.
It's a movie set. It's a set. Yeah. And if you look at the papers he was signing, they were all blank, they were blank. And so, and if you look at the way James Woods looks now, without just the way he looks, without his makeup and mask, he looks kind of like Biden, the way he's doing it. And Jim Carrey too. Jim Carrey's a funny guy. He's a great actor, and so is James Woods. James Woods was a personal friend of mine and my dad's. He didn't realize that he was friends with my dad, and when he, but he got me into. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's something really special that you said earlier that I think would really inspire people, and you were talking about President Kennedy.
Oh, yes. When he came through the grocery store, I whispered to him that I knew his dad was alive, that his dad wasn't executed. He wasn't assassinated. Because how I knew that was, well, they shot a lot of it. He lost a lot of his brain. He was a vegetable, kind of. He lost a lot of his brain, but he was in a wheelchair on an island near Scorpios, owned by the Onassis family. And I met the French nurse who took care of him for 3 years. And she told me before she went off grid, she said, Eric, in case they kill me, I have to tell somebody this story. And you're the only one that would believe me, and I trust you. You're the perfect guy to tell, she said, because I spoke French with her, and I always had the Weekly World News behind me. And I talked about aliens and conspiracy stuff, that turned out to be real now. But because I was the original one of the original conspiracy speakers, but now I'm a truther because everything became true, So, but I met the French nurse who took care of him for 3 years, and she told me she said dignitaries came from all over the world to meet him, and she sponge bathed him, and she met all these dignitaries from all over the world, and they took care of and they met him. And went off or whatever, but it was on an island near Scorpios in the Greek islands. And he was alive. And I think he eventually died. I saw it on Weekly World News, I think, when he died. But what's funny is the best newspapers are these tabloids, they're the real, they're the real news. Okay. So it is crazy, but they're also
crazy good.
I think that's good crazy, and it has to be, and I think it's the only thing that's been printed more than the Bible is the National Enquirer, I think. Right. So, but
well, Eric, you're so amazing. You are so amazing. Yeah.
It takes one to know one. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Well, you mentioned timelines a little ago. You mentioned timelines. Let me just ask you something. I think it's about 2 years ago now. They were one of the administrators at CERN in Switzerland, and he came. It was in a speech in a meeting. He said the very first thing he says, we have to apologize for you. He said, we destroyed our universe, so we are in an alternate timeline now.
Yes. And what's amazing is listen to this, okay? I was on a conference call with Paul Hellyer, like a Skype. I was on a Skype call with Paul Hellyer, Karen McDonald, and I think Alfred Weber Labermont, and maybe somebody else. But we were on a call. I called Karen, and she pulled me into this meeting. And that was the first time I met Paul Hellyer, and he heard of me, and I was like, wow, I was like finally feeling like, okay, I'm getting out there, because he's into UFOs and stuff, and so he knew who I was already, and so they were watching the cameras in Geneva, and they were saying they were watching CERN burn. We were watching CERN burn. They said that it was eating away, okay? And we were watching the super soldier. We knew the super soldier. He had like 3 names. I forgot. I forgot his name right now. But he had 3 names. I don't want to get it wrong. But we knew he was there, and they thought. And then when we met him later, when I met him later at a conference. At Contact in the Desert, they were telling me that's not him. We saw him die. We know he was there. But see, that's the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Mandela effect where, yes, we watched CERN burn and we watched Earth, burn. See, when CERN burns, that means that the Earth is destroyed because it creates a black hole. It just collapses on itself and makes a black hole. So I watched us die, okay? And I watched a timeline end. See, there are many infinite amount of timelines. So I watched that timeline end. And then our spirit's eternal. See, we're not this holographic body. We're spirit in this body. And we have memory. We're quantum beings with quantum consciousness. That's why they use quantum computers, the D-Wave, to track all the timelines that have to be kept really in cold places, like deep under the ocean and whatever, Antarctica and stuff, okay, that track all the timelines. And we're getting these quantum phones. We're about to get quantum phones, and they're going to take down the internet, and we'll get these new phones that will know exactly who we are and what we've done in our past lives, and we'll be paid accordingly. We'll be all paid through our phone, and it will know exactly who we are. Okay. So, and it'll be much faster, and it won't be going horizontally, the signal, it'll be coming vertically down. So it won't affect us, in the negative way that it does now, because this 5G is very nefarious, what they had planned to do. But luckily, Trump stuck a lot of Tesla plates and all these 5G things, okay? Mm-hmm. And the White Hats did take over control of CERN, okay? So I know a lot of people say no, they don't think so. But yeah, it's all under White Hat control. And same with the 5G. They just let them install it because they were trying to get all these 5G. When they closed all these schools, it was to put the 5G in the schools, and it was going to be the kill switch. And because it works in conjunction with, breathing all these metal particulates, or maybe getting it in our bloodstream somehow in a prick, these particulates work in conjunction with 5G. So they had planned to use it against us and control us, with this graphene oxide and also these nano aluminum in the chemtrails. It becomes the antenna for 5G. So it's AI, artificial intelligence, and mind control. And see, I'm a demonologist and an exorcist, and I'm a Ghostbuster. But I had to take it to another level because I wasn't dealing with just normal demons or noisy ghosts, poltergeists, or I knew that I had to take it to another level and learn a lot more. So I learned about Boswanian agates and citrine quartz stones, and how to capture, and how really see the secret is the polarities are fear and love. It's as simple as that. Have no fear. Okay. When I fight, I have no fear, because I know I'm faster. Even though I'm not stronger, I know I'm faster. And I know I can do a counter move to whatever that's coming, and dodge a bullet, or dodge an arrow, or whatever, or dodge a knife. And I know that I can do the proper counter move. And when you have no fear, you go much faster. And because you're not working against resistance. And those are the polarities, fear and love. So the secret really is to live in love and compassion. You have to vibrate this higher frequency vibration of love, because it transmutes by vibrating the shit out of everything. Okay. When you bounce the fear off you, when somebody comes to me with a weapon and tries to get me to be scared, I laugh, I laugh, and I say, you better know how to use that, whatever it is, because you're going to wake up in the back of a cop car. And I promise you, I'm not going to try to hurt you. Mm-hmm. They're like, who is this guy? And they're looking for what weapon I have. But see, I am the weapon, and the weapon is love. Okay, and you have to vibrate that higher frequency and have no fear, because
they
live off that.
I'm really sorry to say we're just getting down to the end of the show here. Please.
Oh wow, people, 1 hour.
Yeah. Where can people reach you, and also speak on what you do and how they, publications and stuff?
You know, I feel bad because I've been promising a book for a long time, but how can I write my autobiography when I'm still living it, you know? So I decided to just do chapter 1 and series. I decided, okay, I'm just going to whip out some series. So I am working on spitting out some books, and I'm easy to find. Eric the Healer. I'm Eric the Healer, 1111. I was born 11:11 p.m. Starseed. So Eric the Healer, 1111 on Telegram is a lot of my good stuff. I'm Eric the Healer on Instagram, but all that stuff's going down, you know, but you can find me, I'm sure, in the future after things go down. I'm Eric the Healer. Just Google Eric the Healer. I'll pop up somewhere. And I'm Eric Reza Dadmehr on YouTube, and Eric Reza Dadmehr Facebook. I have a page, Eric the Healer, on Facebook. I'm not on the new Trump Truth Social yet because I don't have an iPhone. They only have an application for iPhones, but they will do a Google Play. They will have a Play for Android soon, you know, to download. But I'll be on the Truth Social media when it's available to my Android phone. I'm Eric the Healer. I live in Sacramento, California. I'm easy to find. I'm at conferences for. I'll be at the next one maybe with Dean Price at New Earth Events. I think newearthevents.com, and type in Sacramento. And then I'll be in, I don't know if I'm going to still work with Saeed, David Farman, but I coined the 5D events. He's been my friend for a long time, and I want to help him, but you know, I don't know. It's time to do my own conferences now, I think maybe, but 5devents.com. Maybe because he creates space for me to meet people, and I really love that. And then also I worked a couple times. Well, poor Chief Golden Light Eagle's gone, but I was doing those Star Knowledge conferences, but I think I'm missing somebody.
Well, I have one question before you go.
The Promise Revealed, thepromiserevealed.net. That's Bob Potter, Robert Potter's. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are your eyes gray?
You know, my eyes are hazel. They're
okay.
And there's a lot of blue in them. Sometimes they change blue, but really we all have blue eyes, and we just have junk in our eyes. And when we eat raw food, it cleans itself out, and then we get our blue eyes back. But my eyes are green, and they are supposed to be. They say green-eyed people are aliens, and I'm a hybrid. And
yeah,
you know,
I thought they were angels. So thank you so much. Yeah, no, thank you for being with us. You have to come join us again.
Oh yes, you should book me soon, or call me. Let me know when another opening happens. Opens up, and I'll be happy to talk about whatever. And so, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
The thing is that you are Eric the Healer. We didn't get to talk about healing at all. So,
I'm glad you said that. Let me say a few important things, okay? Because I notice on my walks, I see people microwaving their brains with their phone to their head. And I jokingly tell them, you know, now rotate, cook the other side of your brain now, I tell them, you know, and then I see mothers pushing the stroller with the phone right where the baby's head is. And I said, you're cooking the baby's head. Their skull's not thick. Take that phone away from the baby. Keep them away from the phone. It pisses me off. So and then we live in a radioactive world. They don't talk about Fukushima. I worked at Radiologic Health Branch where we're supposed to protect people's health, but they didn't tell people about Fukushima and radiation and, you know, the world being radioactive. So we think we get colds or flus when we really have radiation sickness that mimics colds and flus. So I want you to learn about moringa. Moringa is the latest, greatest herb. Moringa, Moringa, detoxes radiation, but also oil pulling. Oil pulling is excellent. We have 3 miles of bacteria in every tooth. And when you oil pull after you floss, so the oil goes everywhere. I use coconut oil because it's the best. And when you swish and I made oil pulling better because you're supposed to do it for 15 minutes, which I can't because I'm drooling over myself. So I do it for 5 minutes, spit it out, and I do another fresh tablespoon 3-4 times in a row for 20 minutes, for 5 minutes each time, eat a fresh tablespoon each time. And it gets the lipid-based bacteria. We have 3 miles of tunnels in each tooth of lipid bacteria. and it pulls this out in the oil, and then you spit it out, and then you shine and you detox the radiation. So these are great ways to detox the radiation, which is really important. And then we should all be taking Nation iodine. Go buy the liquid Nation, NASCENT iodine, and just take 1 drop is all you need a day. And because when you have the iodine in you, you don't absorb the radioactive iodine. And these things will protect us against the 5G. And then also I have a Susan Long, I bought from my friend Susan Long, this shungite, this circle. And so shungite is very important to wear. I also have a Tesla coil here. And then if you go to my friend, twistedsage.com, you can get one of these pendants that are tensor scalar, because I met Slim Sperling. He was out dowsing using these L-shaped copper wires, and then he ran into the grocery store. I was working, and he goes, wow, and then he runs out of the store and he does it again, and the wires go right to me, and he goes, wow, I'm Slim Sperling, and I'm a natural taught dowser, and you, my friend, have a lot of energy. I found you from 5 miles back. And I said, wow. So these things protect us. They create fields around us and protect us against the damage they're doing. That's my friend Brian Besco from twistedsage.com. I love Brian, and his sister is very spiritual. So those are the my quick health things, I put on my, and then make sure MMS, my friend Dr. Robert Young wrote the paper on MMS, but I met Jim Humble in the 80s with Bob Beck, and I thought he made MMS. MMS detoxes us with everything, cures many things, and then make sure you're taking a lot of glutathione. Glutathione is the key. Amino acids are the key, and glutathione is the one we should be taking. If you could get nano liquid glutathione, that's really the best, but that'll protect you against what's going on that we can't talk about. And but you'll know what I'm saying. Glutathione, nano liquid glutathione. So that's what I have to say. Thank you. I think I covered.
That's great.
Excellent.
That's great.
Well, thank you for being with us. And then
thank you.
Thank you for having me. I love you both.
Love you back.
We'll have you back on. So until next time.
I look forward to it.
Yep. Be good to each other.
Bye, guys.
Share love.